I came across a video that's ostensibly about questions atheists should ask. Not sure what the questions are, but let's hear what they have to say.
Well, for the unbeliever, the person who's not a Christian, what I tend to do, with people like this is say, okay, here's what I need from you for you to win the argument, for me to join your side. I need you to show me how it's, you know, this is all big picture thinking, how it's philosophically and intellectually coherent to argue that reality is best understood without a God than with one.
Okay, a few points to unpack here. First off, God is not a good explanation for anything, since there's no evidence for the existence of any kind of intelligence behind the universe. It's both philosophically and intellectually coherent to say that since we don't know how reality was created, we simply say that we don't know what caused everything, rather than slotting an intelligent creator being into our ignorance. Second, you seem to equate atheists with anybody who's not a Christian. You do realize that there's more than one religion out there, right? This may come as a shock to you, but there are people out there who don't accept Christianity who do believe in other deities. Look, I don't need you to join my side. If you want to believe, then go ahead and believe. I don't have any evidence to accept your claims of a deity, but if you feel there is one, then go ahead and accept it. Live however you want, as long as you don't harm anybody else.
I want you to explain why people, and I know so many of these, but why people who have advanced degrees in the hard sciences and in philosophy, why they don't find your criticisms at all persuasive.
Nobody's claiming that all scientists are atheistic. Sure, the majority of them are, but I can't think of anybody who's claimed that every person who has a master's or PhD will dismiss the idea of a deity. However, since there's no evidence of a deity out there, anybody who wants to publish in a reputable scientific journal can't use a deity as an explanation for any scientific conclusions they come to.
In other words, how does that work? And what you usually get is, well, they're all like lying. They really have doubts, or they're just not as smart, or they're filtering stuff out. No, excuse me, but they went to the same schools, they publish in the same journals.
Of course they are, but how many published scientific papers and journals have used God as an explanation for any of the results they've cataloged? Since God is a claim without any evidence to back it up, it has no place in scientific studies. Show that the existence of God is testable with falsifiable claims. That's what's needed to be published in a scientific paper. I've used her as an example in the past, but Dr. Mary Schweitzer is a believing Christian who's been vocal about her beliefs and has published her findings about soft dinosaur tissues and how it can be preserved for millions of years. But her papers do not use a God did it approach. Scientists, even believing scientists, need evidence to back up their conclusions.
They're members in the same academic societies. They're department heads and professors at the major, PhD granting institutions in the world. And they just don't find this persuasive. And for you to say that, where's the empirical research that supports that they're deceived or lying? I'd like to see that.
I don't say they're lying. If a scientist says they believe in a deity, I believe them. Especially in a field where they're the minority, to come out and say they believe in a God tells me they're pretty strong in their convictions. But reputable papers and journals will not allow the use of a God as an explanation for any scientific discoveries because, currently, there's no evidence that an intelligent creator deity exists.
Here's what I need from you for me to be persuaded to join you. So I don't want to dismiss their criticisms and concerns, but at the end of the day, I need answers. I need coherent answers to questions like these. Mm-hmm. So go work on that. Okay, we can have a conversation later. I want to know, just show me. That's not an unreasonable request.
I'm not sure what you mean by showing you. My stance as an atheist is that since I've not been given any evidence for a deity, I don't accept the claims of one. The ones that hold a positive stance of the existence of a God, either for or against, that is to say there is or isn't a supreme deity, are the ones that require evidence and proof of their claims. My stance, that I don't believe because I haven't been given any evidence, is because I haven't been given any, so I don't slot intelligent creator into my explanation of the universe.
I want data. I don't want your anger. Your anger doesn't solve my problem. My problem is I want answers to these questions. I understand if you're angry. Chances are, I've told people who are atheists or whatever, if I had the caricature of God in my head that you have in yours, I'd already be on
upset.
Yeah, I'd already be on your side. But you've really misunderstood this or that point of theology. You really do have a caricature living in your head.
I don't know what you think is in my head. I don't have a character of God up here. When I discuss my stance on the existence of a deity, I break it down to its most basic premise. Does an intelligent creator being exist, and is it responsible for the universe? I think we can all agree the idea of a deity can be distilled down to that basic concept. I don't have a character of your God in my head because I'm not just arguing against your specific God. I don't have a belief in any deity, not just yours alone.
You've had personal pain and you're not correctly parsing why there's evil in the world. And you may have gotten an answer from a Christian that really hurts you and damages you. And you have every right to do that because it's not a good answer.
Why is it that I've come across so many theists that think this way? That I had some personal tragedy that pushed me away from accepting the idea of a deity, or the old chestnut of the problem of evil. There's evil in the world, so there can't be a God.
Boy, do we have problems up here. The problem of evil in the world. If God is all powerful, he cannot be all good. And if he is all good, then he cannot be all powerful.
This doesn't mean that the creator deity doesn't exist, just that if there is one, it either at best doesn't care about humanity, or at worst, finds tragedy hilarious. On a side note, with all the things wrong with that movie, I'm glad they at least didn't use the old evil bald guy as the villain. Oh. As for personal tragedies, yes, almost everybody has gone through some bad things in their lives. And while some may have taken the bad things happening as proof there isn't a deity, causation doesn't equal correlation. If most people have bad things happen to them, then a theist can just point to one and say, aha, this is why you don't believe. But I, and many others, dismiss the idea of a deity simply because we don't have any evidence for one, good or bad things in our lives notwithstanding.
So I agree with you, but you need to take a deep breath and say, well, maybe there's a different way to parse all this. And I'm telling you there is, but so if you want to have a conversation, I'd love to have that conversation with you.
How does parsing this in a different way make any difference? Here's my stance, and I've said it before many times. I have been given no evidence for the existence of a supreme deity, so I dismiss the claims there is one. I admit that I could be wrong, but I place God in the same category of things I don't think exist because I have no evidence they exist, like Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, or the G-spot.
Just because you can't seem to find it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. In fact, I'm meeting up with someone tonight who has found it several times already.
Wait, what? The title of this video is Questions Atheists Should Ask. You've made claims about us, but what questions should we ask? And more importantly, what evidence do you have that any deity, let alone yours, exists? So who are you meeting up with? And can I at least watch this time?